Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am NIK NIKAM. This is the COVID-19 pandemic news update. Today we're going to look at the effectiveness of Pfizer BioNTech vaccine in terms of preventing infection from variants of coronavirus, namely the UK variant or the South African variant. In particular, we're going to look at the study from Israel, which was reported in the CNBC on April 11, 2021. Here's the title: COVID variant from South Africa was able to break through Pfizer vaccine in Israel study. Let us see how much of this is hype and what are the facts. As of April 11, 2021, more than 136.6 million people across the globe had been tested to have COVID-19, which has accounted for close to 3 million deaths. Israel has been in the lead front as far as vaccination is concerned. They have administered more than 10 million doses of vaccination, accounting for 59% of the people having vaccinated, whereas 54% having fully vaccinated. Israel has a population close to 12 million people, and it is a great example of how to study the effectiveness of a vaccine in a large population. Of course, they use Pfizer BioNTech vaccine for their entire population. Looking at Pfizer BioNTech in comparison to other vaccines, as you know, Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is based on the RNA technology. It has to be preserved under minus 70 degrees. The patients have to receive 2 doses. Now we're going to focus on variants of concern or variants of coronavirus, namely B1351, the South African variant, and B117, the UK variant, in the Israeli study as how effective the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine was in preventing the coronavirus infection by these variants. They identified people who had tested positive for the coronavirus, especially the South African variant, and compared that to a similar population based on age, race, and geographic location to see how prevalent the coronavirus South African variant was seen in the vaccine group compared with those who did not receive the vaccine. When they compared these two groups, the prevalence of the South African variant among patients receiving 2 doses of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine was 8 times higher than those who were not vaccinated. But don't let that number 8 times fool you, because those numbers were very minuscule compared to the large population of several million people who received the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. Here's a chart which gives you a much better perspective of how significant the prevalence of infection in the groups were. As you can see here, we have the control group, and here are the people who were treated with vaccine. The most important thing we need to understand is during the study period, the predominant variant in the Israeli population was the B117, which is the UK variant. As you know, UK variant has more rapidly spreading properties, and that was the predominant variant of the coronavirus noted. South African variant was much smaller. But nonetheless, in the population who were infected with these coronavirus variants, in the people who received the vaccination, there was a slight increase in the number of people who had the South African variant, but that's not astronomical. That is like a 5.4%. And look at the people who had both doses of vaccination. Only about 149 people had tested positive for the coronavirus. And this is all based on the antibody testing. So I'll come back to the real question of what difference does it make in the real world. Of these 149 people, 89% were of the UK variant, and in the control group, 92% of the UK variant. First of all, we can deduct that the vaccine is very effective in reducing the normal variant of coronavirus. It is also effective in reducing the incidence of infection from the variants of coronavirus, namely the UK variant and the South African variant. And they were also effective in partial. As you know, in UK, they are trying out the first dose and trying to space the second dose for 12 weeks or maybe longer. But in this particular study, they found out the effectiveness of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine was less after the first dose compared to that after the second dose. So this may be an important lesson for the UK regulators to realize that vaccinating people with both doses is the best way to prevent the spread of infection among their population. Again, emphasizing the fact that 2 doses of Pfizer BioNTech vaccine was very effective in reducing the incidence of regular coronavirus infection. It was also effective in reducing the incidence of infection from coronavirus variants. And they also noted the number of people who had the South African variant was less than 1% of the population group. As I mentioned to you, the predominant virus in the Israeli study at that time was the UK variant, and no wonder they had a much higher prevalence of infection with the UK variant, since it has a propensity to spread rapidly. They noticed South African variant infection was less than 1% of the study population. Having looked at this data, it is encouraging to note that people who receive 2 doses of a Pfizer BioNTech vaccine have a very good protection against the regular coronavirus infection. They are very effective against the variants of a coronavirus. But the most compelling questions we need to ask are, just having a positive test of a regular virus, a UK virus, or a South African variant doesn't necessarily tell you as what is actually happening on the field. We need to know how many of these people were symptomatic. How many of these people were sick enough to go to the hospital? Was there a change in their outcomes, those who broke through the vaccine barrier and got infection? When these questions are answered, it will become much more clear as to how effective these vaccines are in terms of reducing the hospitalization, reducing the infection rate, so that it would become more like a less virulent virus than what it was when we started back in March 2020. Thank you so much for watching. This has been an update on COVID-19 world news, the South African variant in Israeli population who have been vaccinated. And you have been watching Triple N Media, and please do subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next time.